Welcome back to Haunted by Tapes with the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast presents Haunted by Tapes. Tonight's feature film.
Tape.
And that's not even a tape, you son of a bitch.
That is a
This is available on VHS, and I do plan to get one, but I do have the Blu-ray
Haunted
DVD
by
combo
Blu-ray.
pack collector's edition.
Ginger Snaps, tonight's feature. The title doesn't really give much away, which is interesting.
No, it's
It sounds like
a clever
It
title.
sounds like a cookie.
Clever little film title.
Yeah.
I never knew what it meant until I watched it.
Right.
Her name's Ginger, and she
Were you
snaps.
aware that this was a werewolf movie before you started it?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I didn't know that either, but immediately
heard about it.
you
So
get
my
right
friend
into
was
it.
obsessed with these back from high school on, and he always talked about it and rented them and stuff. But I don't think I ever sat and watched them.
So let's talk about the cast first before we get into the plot here. You have Ginger is played by Catherine Isabel, who I know from Freddy vs. Jason.
Yes, that's why I was, like when you told me, I was like, I knew she looked familiar.
She's one of the more prominent women in that one who gets murdered.
She's the one that's dating that asshole.
Yeah. And she's also been in X-Files, because this was shot in Toronto.
Nice.
So a lot of the actors in this movie have been in random X-Files episodes and shit because they shot up there. So people who actually worked and were actors often were, because they go through so many like one-time actors.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You'd burn through a lot of the local people.
There's only so many Canadians.
Bridget, her sister, Emily Perkins, who you may recognize from the original Stephen King's It as Beverly, the young Beverly. She was also has a connection to Ghostbusters Afterlife through she's in Juno. Can you
Nice.
pick out her role in Juno off the top of your head?
I haven't watched June in a long time.
She's the receptionist at the sex clinic that gives
Oh.
Juno condoms and stuff.
Nice, okay.
But she's wearing
I need
like
to
a
watch
lot of
that
like
again.
heavy goth makeup and punk makeup and shit, so she doesn't look. And she's a little older, but
A little wiser.
exactly. She's also appeared in X Files at one point. Chris Lamache, who plays Sam, the drug dealer with the van, who helps them.
Yeah.
He's a drug dealer?
Did you watch this?
Yeah, but I didn't pick up. I thought.
They've mentioned it like 400 times, and he's growing pot.
He was
Oh, that's
selling
right.
pot to all the kids
Well, what's
at
the
school.
van? Isn't it like a
There's a bunch of pot in
plumbing van or what does it say on the
Yeah, I'm
outside
sure,
of
just
it?
to be
Yeah.
discreet.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to say
But
pot.
but I thought that was
Yeah.
his actual job
Pot
too.
delivery.
Like that was his legitimate job.
He was in Final Destination 3, basically, as one of the goth high school students who works at a hardware store and dies in that way. He was also appeared in Goosebumps, Psych, CSI, a bunch of different stuff. Mimi Rogers, who plays Pamela, her mom. Now this, I'm sure you know, Mrs. Kensington
Yeah.
from Austin Powers. And she was in Dumb and Dumber as well, which is the superior Dumb and Dumber sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Oddly enough, which is weird to fucking
You never
say.
would have thought that would have been
Nope.
the case.
No, yeah.
Also appeared in X-Files.
It was like 9 seasons, so I'm sure a lot of people were in there.
The guy who played Jason, who's the guy who Ginger fucks and then he bleeds from his dick, which we'll get there.
Worth it.
He was in Are You Afraid of the Dark? And also Final Destination 3 is one of the people who dies.
But not X-Files.
Not that I saw. So that's basically my notes about the cast and stuff. Oh, booger. It's going to be okay.
Werewolf is werewolfing outside the door.
Basically. This movie, if you love dogs, is a little hard to watch, but also it has a lot of dead dogs in it, but they're also pretty cheesy effects, so it works. Like, you're not too horrified because they don't look like real dogs for the most part.
There's a few scenes in there that are a little more disturbing than others, yeah, but for the most part, they kind of do it up so it's not like the focal point. It's just
Did you watch
incidental.
Did you watch this with Liz? Mm-hmm. Did she have issue?
I think she had
No.
already seen it, hadn't she?
Yeah, she'd seen this a bunch, and plus she works in the vet field, so she sees
Booger.
the worst all the time.
This movie starts out so almost like a parody of goth.
Well, it starts out in a way you don't expect it.
They're not supposed to be goth. I've listened to the commentary of this. I'll
But
be
that's
honest
what
about
it's
that. He said he's very specifically made it so they sort of seemed goth, but they wouldn't fit into a goth clique. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they're
it's
their
just
own
those
clique.
two,
They don't have
yeah.
anybody but each other, basically. Even the goth kids don't.
But the
like
way
them.
they're talking in the pictures and
Goth kids, again, that's a little more.
well, I'm gonna say the Hollywood perception of goth. How about that?
I mean, even that is cheesy because if you look at Jennifer's body, like the goth kids and shit, the emo kids or whatever you want to call them at the time, like
Oh, that one guy. Yeah.
a little
Everyone just
cheesy.
looks like, yeah, and goth isn't even the right term for that because in Jennifer's body, everyone looks like they're fucking Green Day from
Especially that guy with the lip ring.
same circa era. Everyone wants to be Billy Joe.
Well, he definitely looks the part of that and all, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they establish the suburbs. The little girl finds a fucking dog paw in her sandbox.
And
That's
blood
fucked
all
up.
over her face. Yeah.
Well,
Mom
yeah,
flips
she,
out
like,
because she
wipes it.
finds out that her dog, it got her dog, it got her dog, goes fucking running into the middle of the street to yell this, and no one gives a
Those kids
fuck.
like look at her and then
Yeah.
go back to playing.
You
Us-
see Bridget come out there with like an extension cord and gasoline. And you're like, what the fuck is this bitch about to do?
Yeah.
It like looks very sinister at first, but obviously they're doing those death pictures.
Yeah, the photo
like
shoot,
fake
yeah.
pictures for a school project. But that's kind of like the opening credit sequences, is a bunch of their pictures and the theme music, which is it works well. It's a cool sequence. I
It
like
got our dog, it got our Baxter.
Yeah,
And then doesn't she say something about the dog when she goes back down inside?
yeah. She says Baxter's like dog food or something.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
like dog
Some-
food,
yeah.
right? Something like mincemeat or I don't know what she says exactly. I don't have the line in my head, but
It's fine.
Ginger's sitting there though with like a knife on her wrist, like debating murdering herself, and like obviously they're doing the thing, so she's not really necessarily trying to kill herself
you
at
go
this
down
point,
the river, right?
right? Not across the street.
But that's before you 100% understand they're doing a photo shoot, too.
Exactly. She says, "Wrists are for girls. I'm slitting my throat. You should definitely hang."
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing you can notice in the sequence of them, all the photos of them dead though and stuff, is like all of Ginger's are horribly fucking bloody and messy and gruesome as hell, and Bridget's are a lot more like artsy and artsy fartsy and like
Bloodless,
for the most part.
like hanging.
The hanging one, there's the one of the pitchfork in her throat is like, but there's no blood in that one even.
Yeah.
Oh, the fence impalement is great too.
Yeah.
That's a fucking
Reminds
great
me
one,
of
yeah.
fucking what is that movie? Is that Virgin Suicides that happens in? Somebody's impaled on a fence like that?
There might be. I can't remember.
Can't remember either. I've only seen that one like once or twice. It's fucking sad as shit. Sophia Coppola, man. The teacher's all pissed at their project
Yeah.
too. He's like, at first he's kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this, basically, until he's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm sick of it. Get out of here.
But it's art
gross.
class, right?
Yeah, it's something like
You think he'd be a little?
It's art, but the funny thing is, like, the class love it. They're like, show us the pics of Ginger again.
yeah, because they think she's hot. Mm-hmm. Don't blame them.
They know she's hot.
To be clear, they were both in their like early 20s when they shot this movie, so anything said is not creepy, even
Yeah,
though they're playing
Yeah.
16-year-old girls.
I checked.
Because I was wondering, there's a few scenes, like, in this, throughout the film, and she's in her underwear. I'm like, I hope she's, like, over 18 at this, because this is a little questionable here.
Yeah, you're like, can I
have boner?
can have boner, please?
There's probably a website
We need to make it.
like age boner check. in
That's
movies.
disturbing.
Is it okay to have a boner while watching this movie? Yes.
Yeah. Bridget talks about being uncomfortable, being looked at by other people while she's in her coffin if she kills herself. That's an interesting thing. I like how they're smoking and they're watching everybody play hockey. They're like hiding that they're smoking and shit.
Yeah.
And
Well, they're playing
And then all the guys are like
lacrosse.
watching them play
Yeah.
too.
yeah, because they're like all of a
yelling
sudden
shit at
wanting
them.
to fuck Ginger now, basically.
yeah, like, they're all of a sudden noticing her.
She sprouted.
And they call that one girl, she calls her a standard pleasure model, which is like a Blade
they say
Runner
lots of
reference.
different stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, they say basic pleasure model in Blade Runner, but it's still a reference to that, and I caught it, and I was like, fuck yeah. And she also calls her a cum bucket.
Yep. There's some interesting dialogue in this one for sure.
Well, I like it, because teenagers are like
Oh,
that.
yeah. They're crass and crude and come up with some good shit to say.
Oh, it's Trina.
Oh, the bully?
Yeah, she pushes her into the dead dog.
Yeah, which is fucked up. Like, you think she would be I don't know what that says about Trina, the not fucking caring about a dead dog out there because no one noticed a dead
Right.
dog in the field they're playing in.
That's
and then
what I s-
you smack into its corpse
what I
and you're
said.
covered in blood.
And then Ginger's like, "You want me to kill her, B? Because I'll kill her."
Yeah. She's
You're-
fucking dead serious there, too.
Right,
She's like,
you're
I'm
like-
not fucking around.
And then Jason asks her out, and she's just like, doesn't even know how to respond. She's like, "No." Then you go to they're having dinner with their parents. This scene's pretty cool. She's like, why are you rubbing your back, Ginger? She's like, my back hurts. She's like, oh, does it feel like this? And she describes, things. She's like, maybe. She's like, oh, does it feel like cramps? And she's like, Mom. And it turns out neither of these girls have gotten their period, and they're both 15 and 16.
Yeah, and they're like, you're like 3 years behind. And you're like, that's obviously a specific age, but
Yeah.
okay.
And the dad's like, we're eating. And you're like, oh, fuck this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't be fucking squeamish. You have daughters, get over
What
it.
a pussy.
Which is later on when you understand why the mom is the way she is.
Exactly. Her pussy hasn't been eaten in years, man. You can tell that guy is not one to
Muff dive.
eat at that restaurant.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a selfish man.
but he probably expects her to eat at his hot dog stand that fucking has cockroaches and shit and everything else.
Well, that's oddly specific, but okay.
I'm just trying to say he's trashy and he's
I know,
gross, and she probably blows him but gets no return.
Oh, yeah.
As I said, he's a selfish lover.
They plan to fake kill Trina's dog, basically, which is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
Reminds me of It's Always Sunny when they try to steal their parents' dog,
Mm-hmm.
Frank's ex-wife's dog.
Oh, yeah.
And then they basically come across a dead dog at the park when they're on their way to do this.
Yeah, and it's night, obviously, so you kind of get an idea of like what the hell's going on.
And here's where you get your first attack with the werewolf,
Yep.
which is a pretty cool scene because they don't reveal too much. They show a little bit in the woods
It
once she
shows
gets
her
dragged off, but
Period first, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a cool scene where she's like, "Oh, because they were going to pick it up and use the dead dog body."
Yeah, and
that's
then
just-
obviously one of the dog hands comes off, or
Yeah.
the whole leg or whatever, and then she's like, oh, gross.
you got some on you, and it reminds me of Shaun of the Dead. You got red on you.
Yeah. Were you dancing with Jacinda? Just reminds me of Super
God.
Bad.
That fucking guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so she has her period, and then there's like this wolf attack, or you don't even really kind
Yeah,
of know
she
what
gets
it is.
dragged into the fucking woods, and eventually, Bridget goes in there after her and saves her, basically, after like more attacking and bloody and shit.
Yeah, and she's what did she find to hit it with? I can't
she's
remember.
screaming really well too. Like,
Oh,
she
she's
does great.
hitting it with her camera. That's right. She's hitting
Yeah.
it with her instant camera because she's got her, I don't know, Polaroid probably at the time for it.
Yeah.
So. Which is pretty.
All the houses around, you can tell, are turning on their lights too. They show that like everybody's waking up from Ginger's horrific screaming.
Yeah, but obviously no one does anything.
It reminds me of the Flintstones intro.
Yeah.
Which in turn reminds me of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yep. For different reasons.
Yeah. And she's like, bears go after girls on their rag. And she's like, it wasn't a fucking bear.
Yeah.
She's like, the wounds are already healing. This is fucked up.
Yeah, she's like, touch that. Yeah. It's,
We gotta call 911. She's like, no. I'm
Don't
not
tell
bleeding
anybody
anymore.
this.
We're good.
yeah.
We're gonna keep it a secret.
Let's not forget that fucking car crash scene, though.
Oh, yeah. The cars run over the werewolf.
The
presumably.
drug dealer, what's his name?
Sam.
Sam is driving his van at a high rate of speed, not really paying attention, and then all of a sudden fucking just takes this fucking beast out and
Sound like
splatters.
that old, that, what's that fucking...
Yeah, you're saying because he's
like
high.
on Speed TV, remember, or
Yeah.
whatever it was, where he's like, this driver is not gonna... He's
Not
gonna
paying
run
attention.
over the werewolf. He is driving at accelerated speeds through an
Unsafe zone.
suburban area.
Pretty much, but that fucking thing splatters, and I love the splatter effect because it's so good. That thing's all fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, no, it is great.
And he stops and he like fucking slowly gets out and is like, what the fuck is this?
And she has like that dropped the picture or whatever of the wolf, basically, that he finds.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Well, she drops that in his van later because she sees that out of her camera after she unjams it with the knife.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Either way, he gets a hold of the picture, though. Booger. It's okay, I promise.
He's scared of lycanthropes. It's okay. If your dog is scared of lycanthropes.
And then it shows Bridget picking out tampons with Ginger. And then they're at school, and Jason recommends that Ginger smokes weed because, I got sisters. Or he says that at the pharmacy or whatever, the store, wherever they're buying
Yeah.
it. Helps. Then they go out to Sam's car to smoke weed in his fucking van. And then they get caught, obviously, by Sam, and he's like, what the fuck? And there's that whole confrontation with Trina coming up, and her dog barking at Ginger, and Ginger ends up fucking kicking her dog, which is a little depressing, but, Ginger snaps.
Exactly.
That's the name of the movie.
And that's when Sam comes up to Bridget, and he's like, hey, what was that fucking thing? Here's your picture.
Yeah,
What
it's
the
like-
fuck is this?
It took me a week to fucking find you. What is this shit?
And he's like, well, I think it looked like a lycanthrope. Booger, you poor, poor man.
She admits it too. She's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So they're on the same page there.
She shows the hair growing out of her where the wounds are healing in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why don't you just pull it a little further down? Show us some more. But no. Doesn't happen. Lots of period blood, though.
Yeah.
Squirting. Splattering. Then they go to see the nurse, and the nurse is like, no, blood's normal. And she's like, no, a lot of blood.
She's like, it may seem like a lot your first time.
I actually learned a lot about
And that's like-
menstruation in this movie.
Because you didn't pay attention in high school. He never studied.
Right. And this reminds me, this scene where they're there reminds me of the scene of Spider-Man and Uncle Ben where he's like, my body, I went through the same things you're going. Not exactly.
Yeah,
That whole
exactly.
thing.
It's got this. Yeah, definitely that.
Which came out after this.
She's like, you can expect this every 28 days for the next 30 years or
She said
so.
30 years.
And you're like, Jesus, don't be so grim to these people.
And then you have the next day Ginger's slow-mo, sexy intro to the school where she's not wearing all of her baggy clothes. She's wearing tight clothes now, and it's like jiggling all over the hall in slow-mo.
Did she dye her hair, or did her hair have those white strands from the...
They don't really explain, but they
Werewolf
just show that like
process.
she's changing her
Yeah.
look and her attitude's changing is all. So
The fuck did I write there?
I don't know.
Well, that's what happens when you first have your period.
Your hair goes
You
white.
dress different.
Become an X-Men.
He dressed different. Yeah, she becomes rogue.
Ginger and Jason
Sitting in a tree.
sitting in the back of a car.
F-U-C-K-I-N-G.
F-U-C-K.
A lot of these things we've been
S-U-C-K.
talking about lately have a lot of women who are like
Strong, independent.
She's going for what
sex
she wants.
positive and more strong than the men they're fucking.
It's always in the movies where the guy's like, "Nah."
Chucky
Yeah.
just did it. This is doing it. Jennifer's Body kind of does it.
Cinemax porn.
All right. I don't know what that.
It doesn't.
He's too young for
It
that.
doesn't.
You
I
don't
mean,
know.
I know what that is. I just don't understand the reference there.
Well, it's porn. It's a porn thing where the girl's always the aggressor and the guy's like, but you're my stepsister, you know?
That's oddly specific, Nick. I don't want to know what gets you
That's
off.
not specific.
Never
It's like
say that again.
It's like every porn video now.
That you watch.
Well,
like-
that
that's
says
like
a
the most
lot more
popular
about
thing.
you than it
It
does
is.
about
It is
us.
popular. I see them, but like you had to have watched a bunch to know that that's how they
I love those.
roll.
Those are great.
He knows those. That's why he's wishing he was
It's
adopted.
taboo without it being actual incest.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna hang myself. This podcast is over.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and just like that,
Use that extension cord.
I'm gonna recreate something from Ginger Snaps.
Alex snaps.
Basically, Alec naps.
Alex.
Ginger snacks. Alec naps.
Alec faps.
And Nick snacks.
You got some?
So Ginger and Jason fuck.
She decides she's like wants to kill him.
Well, yeah. Well, at first I was like, did she kill him or
No,
did-
they just had really rough
It
sex.
seems like she's like.
She
gonna
bit
kill
the
him,
fuck
huh?
out of him and almost murdered him.
Yeah.
But then, because she didn't kill him, he turned into a werewolf and survived.
Yeah, which his werewolf transformation's hilarious because it looks so cheesy on purpose, but it's
It
amazing.
looks like he's got like a skin
Um,
disease.
Yeah, it looks like he's got like a.
Well, he hasn't fully
scabies or
transformed
some
like
shit.
she
Yeah.
eventually does or anything either. It's like a slow thing. So his is still very
He
subtle.
didn't-
Hers is subtle.
He didn't
early
start
on.
dressing sexy though.
Yeah,
Not
and
true.
his skin didn't get better or anything like that. He got basically what looks like scabies all over his body.
She talks about how I get this ache, and she thought it was for sex, but it's really just to tear everything to pieces, and then it's revealed she killed fucking Norman, their dog.
Yeah.
And that's a little disappointing. And she says, she's talking about sex, and she's like, yeah, it's not that great, all this squirming and squealing, and then he's done, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, and they asked her if it was protected. That was another big thing, and she's like, no.
Yeah. And then you see him taping her tail down.
Oh, no,
Shit.
the funny scene is when her sister finds her tail, by looking up her fucking in her underwear at night, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? And she sees that little tail stub, and if you just happen to look wrong, you're like, is that a little penis? And you're like, no, that's the tail. It's the tail.
Do you think she's more or less attractive with the tail, Alec?
I'm not a furry.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who's into the animal cosplay sex. Because there's that too. That's
You
like
hear that?
where they just have
One of them people.
Well, there's two types of that. There's the people who are into the full furry sex, and then there's the people who are into like the woman wearing cute bunny ears and a butt plug with a tail attached. That
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Like full
I'm in the
costume
second
to
That
category, yeah.
well, that category, I wouldn't say I'm into that, but like I would be okay with that. But full furry, I'm okay. No, I'm good. I don't need that.
Get stinky and sweaty.
I don't need to fuck a McDonald's costume mascot, basically.
He's not trying to fuck
I don't need to fuck a blue fox in a
what's
thong. You
that?
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the weird shit that looks like it's a space.
And if
like,
you're into
fuck
that,
Star
no,
Fox.
no offense,
Yeah.
it's just not Alex.
Well, if you're into that kind of offense, I mean, let's be honest, a little bit. If I'm gonna kink shame anybody, it's probably gonna be furries.
Well, then you're attracted to a weird costume. Not
well, that
the
just makes you
person,
wonder
I think.
psychologically what happened and
Honestly,
what you're trying to.
I
make
just
up
think
for,
there's
but-
some. You can't tell me it's basically role playing bestiality. Like I don't understand. It's either that or it's also you watch too many weird fucking cartoons as a kid where they sexualized Lola Bunny and she has tits and an ass.
Yeah,
I mean, all these
like,
people
that too.
complaining that
goes back to the old.
they reduced her tits or whatever.
And anime. Anime is to blame too.
Goes back to that line in Wayne's World. He's like, "When Bugs Bunny was
Dressed
a
up as a
good girl,
girl,
did you find him
No.
attractive?" No. Yeah.
Neither did I. I was just asking.
Me neither.
No, like there's no real shame towards those people. But
No,
let's
it's-
be honest. I don't want to fuck those people. So
I want them.
Not with the suit on, anyway.
no. That's yeah for sure.
They have like butt flaps like you have on those onesies.
That's too no. I may as well put a fleshlight on a teddy bear. You know what I mean?
There's
Same
videos-
fucking thing.
They got that. They got that on Pornhub too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. You know all about it.
And girls fucking the teddy bears.
I mean, I literally just described a guy fucking a teddy bear, and you said they have that.
They do.
But that implies you've watched it.
Oh, a guy fucking a teddy bear. I don't know. Probably. Though.
You
With
already
a
admitted you
fleshlight.
watched it. Nice backpedaling.
Then they have girls like using flashlights. Like, put the girls right there.
She's lazy. She's spent already. She was already
not even
She
using
already
her
filmed
hand
2
directly.
pornos that day. This is the 3rd one. That's how you get all that extra content in. You make a couple pussy fucking videos. You make a couple anal ones because the pussy's all worn out for the day. Then the butt's worn out for the day.
TVDA.
Then you wear out the jaw, the mouth, the hands, the feet, everything. You know how porn is these days, man. Everything can be
feet.
used. Spare nothing. A woman's body and a man's
Your
body is like a
armpit.
buffalo when it comes to porn, baby.
Your arm.
The buffalo body.
Yeah, you fuck the armpits, man.
Is that a new category, buffalo porn, where everything is used?
Basically.
Oh, that's weird.
So you can film like 40 different pieces of content in one day, and then you're like, there you go.
I see.
You know, then it's like Santa Claus. You only work that one day a year.
Well, it's like if you're a guy doing porn, this is an interesting conversation to have during Ginger Snaps review, but do you think you'd have to like, to do like multiple ones in a day as a dude, do you think you like just go for a week or 2 without blowing a load to save up for that? So you get like extra big loads and you're able to just be like going multiple times? Or I mean, is there a standard for that, or how does that work for you?
I don't know. We need to have an expert on.
Oh, there you go. We should interview porn people
I was being sarcastic, but
I don't want to talk about
from like a porn parody. Of
we're
a
already
movie
crass
you like.
enough. We don't need to talk to someone seriously about that. That'll fucking take the fun out of us being assholes.
Yeah, because all we do is ask him, so do you do Fruit Looping?
I'd be like, yeah, if the money's
Are
right.
you aware of
and he'd be
Fruit
like,
Looping?
okay.
And then, yeah, they would take all the
we
fun out
talk
of
about
dirtiness.
we talk about the production of the porn parody.
I asked them how to get into the porn field. That's what we do. Can I be in one of your videos?
I gotta. I'm a producer
you
here,
don't have to pay
and I
me.
can help get you jobs.
Exactly.
But I gotta make a video.
If you see me sitting on a couch in an undisclosed office,
With my face blurred out.
Jesus Christ.
Back to Ginger Snaps. After that short intermission.
Where were we?
Well, we were talking
Oh,
about...
she went to school. No, wait.
Jason shows up to school,
Okay.
and he looks beat the fuck. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, man. His friends are like laughing at him. What happened to you? Ginger. And then they're kind of like impressed for a second. They're like, oh, did you get your rag too? Because there's blood on his crotch. And he's like, this is my red pen exploded. It's a red pen.
Yeah, it runs off. Yeah, like she did a number on him, and you just don't really know what happened there.
And then you see him go into the bathroom, and he starts peeing. And you see it
Yeah,
transition and turn into fucking blood. That's
Yeah.
horrifying.
yeah. Ugh.
And he's screaming, and you're like, yeah, scream. That's something to scream about.
Yes, that's a legit response. That's justified.
And then he's walking out of the hall, and Bridget notices him and is like, oh, shit. And he's like, what are you looking at? It's red ink. It was a pen. My pen exploded.
Yeah.
Then you see Ginger shaving her legs, and it's like fucking werewolf hair she's shaving off her legs.
I don't care.
Yeah, they're trying to imply the transition there, and just because they get way more dramatic at it, but some of the early stuff's just kind of...
Well, it's low budget, you
Does she
know?
have all those
Yeah.
magazines in there for to learn how to shave her legs or what?
I don't fucking know, man. Trina shows up to get her dog because she thinks that she's taken it. So she saw her take it, she said. Trina slips on her own puke and dies after a whole bunch of confrontation, basically. Mm-hmm. And, like, Ginger brings her inside and is, like, implying that she's going to murder her and shit. But she ends up slipping and fucking killing
Oh,
herself.
that was actually kind of rough. Oh, that's what made my crotch hurt when she hit her head.
That made your crotch hurt?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You get
Is
that-
your
Oh, knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah.
Like the,
You ever felt it in your groin when you watch something like that?
only if it happens to the groin.
Yeah, I was
I'll
going to
have
say,
it
yeah.
to wherever I have
Yeah.
it.
It's
happen,
body
like, It makes my
association.
head hurt. That's the way my brain works. I don't
That's
know.
like why the Razor Apple in Chucky was like...
I can feel it in my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can imagine, like, slicing your mouth up with that.
Yeah, because I think I watched Chucky right before this, and then it's like, shit.
Oh, and then they make it look like it's an accident because her parents got home right away.
Yeah, because she like lays,
So they make it look
pretends
like
like,
the-
she's doing the pictures.
Yeah. I thought no more death scenes in the house. And they shove her ass in the freezer.
Which is pretty
and then
funny.
the mom goes down there with some hamburger. or
Hell
whatever.
yeah.
And then they start acting like they're bonding with their mom, too, to fool them. Which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, what do boys want? And
Yeah,
then,
that's funny.
like,
She's like, oh.
she's like, my girls are becoming women. And then the dad's like, you think they fucking like you? Basically, he's like, they don't fucking like you. They're fucking up to something.
Yeah. And
Which
then
is-
Bridget catches Ginger in the bathroom, and I can't tell if she's like trying to kill herself or cut off her tail.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's hard to say.
I thought tail. But
yeah,
That's
but I
what
would
I thought,
imagine
too.
the tail too. Yeah,
So Bridget locks her up and is like, bitch, you need to cool out while I figure this shit out.
because there's also the scene where they show like it
Oh,
almost,
her mom has the monk's weed, is what I was going to say. The monk's
Yeah.
wood, is that what it's called? Monk's
weed?
hood?
Yeah, whatever the plant is they're
it-
looking for.
Is this a piercing?
No, that's the silver earring that they try first.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I didn't even write notes about that down. I forgot about that. Yeah, that happened a little bit earlier,
That's supposed to get rid of her
I think.
transformation or
Or
stop
no,
her
maybe it's about
transformation.
time. Either
Well,
way.
silver's pure, so it's supposed to purify the blood or whatever they say.
Yeah.
So, and then they do the most awkward piercing scene I've ever seen.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
It is a bizarre scene, but we skipped that. That happened a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
And then she goes over to Sam's and they make the injection basically. And he's like, you know, if you inject her with this, you may kill her because up until this point, she's been acting like it's her that was attacked by the
Yeah.
werewolf and not
yeah. And then
Ginger.
he kind of comes out and says, "Look, I know it's your sister, not you."
Yeah. So then she's attacked by Jason on her way back to the house, who's now like, "What the fuck's wrong with me? I'm gonna murder you now." And she ends up injecting him, and
That's
he
what he
gets
says.
Yeah, it's exact dialogue. It's
What's
right from
wrong
the
with me?
script.
I'm gonna kill you now.
But speaking of him, though, like before that scene, he goes, when Bridget's missing, he pulls her into like a janitor's closet and is basically like, what the fuck's going on? He's like, I fucking killed my dog last night.
Yeah.
He's all pissed about it. And I'm like, I'd be too. Like, you have no idea why.
We haven't even mentioned the janitor.
Yeah, the janitor's kind of...
Yeah, the janitor's. She doesn't think he's creepy or anything, and they don't actually show him doing anything necessarily creepy. He's just
Apparently
being
at
a.
some point
Ginger's
he's
just
been
being an
creepy with
asshole
Bridget.
about it
Well,
with
Ginger
Bridget.
thinks that at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That guy's fucking great too.
Oh, so yeah, she injects Jason. He gets cured, and then he's like, I have class," and he just kind of like stumbles away. And
Yeah.
Ginger had killed the teacher or whatever. Is that
Yeah,
right?
was-
The
was-
body that's in there.
Was that the art teacher, I think?
I think the
It looked like the art teacher that she'd killed, yeah, and she was locked up in there, whatever, so it doesn't really explain.
the parents find a couple fingers outside, and they're like, "Oh, it's just the girl's props. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, that's pretty cheesy, but I mean, it does make sense, right? It works for everything, so...
And that's where we get to kill the janitor, basically. And she says it's like touching yourself, B, right on the fucking dot.
That's wild.
Yeah, I love that shit. Then Ginger goes and tries to fuck Sam as a half wolf lady. And this is where these furry people get boners. Real boners. They're like, oh shit. This is a real fucking boner. Like the kind of boner that,
Yeah, because she's got like the...
as Adam from Workaholics would describe, the kind of like young boners, the painful ones. You know what I'm saying? It's so fucking hard, and there's so much blood in there, it's about to fucking pop. And you're like, that's the kind of the furries are getting watching this shit, or wetties, or whatever they get, as Jennifer from Jennifer's Body would say. I've never really heard that other than that. But. And he's not having it. He's like, debates it at first, and he's like, he reminds me of Venkman. He's like, go ahead. No, I can't, basically.
Yeah.
But he pushes her off him. Bridget comes in there, and it's a whole fucking thing. Sam gets tore the fuck up. And then she basically transforms into a fucking real werewolf.
yeah.
Wolf, yeah.
And the effects on this are just low budget, you can tell. But they still look pretty good
not
for...
that horrible, yeah.
I like them for what they
Yeah.
are.
It's entertaining enough. That's really all that matters.
Yeah. And then she like is trying to eat blood off the floor too.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
I don't know. She's
And then
trying to
she
turn
throws it
herself
up.
into a werewolf too to battle her or something. I think that's what she's trying to do.
I wondered that.
Oh, you see her werewolf tits.
Yeah.
Yeah, on there, that's so
Yeah.
weird, isn't
There's
it?
a-
No,
Yeah.
it's cool at the edition because you're
There's
like,
at
eh.
least 8 of them, though, in there. So maybe
No,
there's
they didn't actually. That's the thing, though. Like on a werewolf,
There
they
was
never
2 on each
explain it.
side.
So at least they've had some, like, hey, it would have breasts.
reminds me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
It shouldn't have nipples down by
Wonderful fucking tits. He has the tits on his back and he's hallucinating.
Yeah, that's hilarious. No, that was an odd scene, though. I was like, well, that's interesting, but okay.
Sam dies, basically. She kills him. And then she's like trying to get her with the antidote, but she ends up having to kill her with the knife, stabbing her. Bridget
Yeah.
kills Ginger as the werewolf. And it's kind of sad, because then she holds her or whatever while
But
she
there's
dies.
a sequel, so
Yeah, but that doesn't involve Ginger, as far as I know.
they're both
They're called Ginger Snaps.
they're both listed in the cast.
Yes, but...
And I know the prequel, they're playing their ancestors.
Well, that's
but-
one thing, but the second one, I'm pretty sure, is about Bridget, and you only see Ginger and like flashbacks and shit, and like as a ghostly specter in it. I think,
Naked.
hopefully, she could haunt me if she was naked. Anyway, that
there you
is
have
Ginger Snaps. I really liked this movie.
Yes.
I enjoyed it a lot. It's
Quite
definitely,
enjoyed it.
like I said, probably my top 5 werewolf movies now.
But there's only 5 good werewolf movies.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that I haven't seen, so.
Yeah, no, it's a fun movie. There's some things in it that you're like, yeah, whatever. Kind of like very stereotypical, but when you look at the time frame, 2001, it's very sign of the times werewolf movie for what it is. So it's really not bad. It just, I would have enjoyed this much more had I seen it when it was like 2001, 2002, like current. So
I'm
But I've
totally
seen
cool with it. I like period things, so I like
That was
watching
my first
movies.
time watching it that I remember.
One of my favorite things to do is watch old movies that I haven't seen before because I like a lot of old stuff better than I do new stuff. So it kind of fits back into this old nostalgic place where it's like I haven't seen it, but I can still feel a certain way while watching it
There's a
because
charm
it's
to
older.
older movies
Yeah.
that new movies don't have.
That too. I just really like the late 90s, early 2000s horror too, so it has that TV Canadian
Vibe
horror
to it, yeah,
vibe
as
too,
well.
so I just love that.
Which
yeah.
is funny because a lot of times they're trying to hide the Canadian accents, but there's a few words
Hey.
here and there that like just really shine
A
through.
boot.
It is a werewolf, eh? You got a silver bullet?
Yeah, silver bullet, eh?
Ooh, Coors Light.
We should get some donuts, eh? What's ginger snaps about?
Exactly. Tell us your thoughts on Ginger Snaps if you've seen it. If you haven't, find it. It's streaming on several places for
Streaming on
free.
Tubi for free.
It is streaming for free on every free streaming site. I
Yep,
think.
Vudu for free with ads, but I mean they show you the whole movie, so
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah.
I had to buy this recently because it has a bunch of special features. There's new interviews with actors, makeup effects artists, composers, women in horror panel, audio commentaries, 2 of them, deleted scenes with commentaries, rehearsals, creation of the beast, and
All the
storage of the
goodies
beast.
you'd want on a home video release.
Basically.
So
And it has alternate, oddly enough, like you can switch out the artwork, see?
oh, that's pretty
Like
cool.
reversible.
I wish more people did that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's like a different style. I think that's more
Probably
like
different posters,
I
right?
think that's more like the DVD style, how it used to look. And this is
Oh
how
yeah, that's the new
redesigned
look.
it.
Yeah.
The VHS looks completely different, and I'm going to pick one of those up, though, too, just because there is one. I would like to watch that movie on VHS. I think it would hit.
They made VHS for a lot longer than people remember.
Well, this is the year 2000, too. And that's definitely VHS, but like they still made them in like 2006.
Yeah, very few.
Around then when they stopped, but...
All right. Well,
Yep.
that's what we have.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Frog Brothers Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on the audio feed on Spotify or Apple or Twitcher or wherever you listen, tell your friends and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/thefrogbros. Hit us up on Instagram at Frog Bros Podcast, on Twitter at bros_frog, on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast, and follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group Frog Bros Video by searching just that, Frog Bros Video. Hit request to join and you'll be approved. We have shirts available. The link is in our Instagram bio and below in the description. And you can find stickers on Etsy at Frog Bros, all one word. Additionally, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a voicemail soon, our Patreon will be live and we'll be posting monthly responses and reactions to the voicemails. Dial 816-832-5388.